Welcome to World Talk Brief. You know, it's one of the biggest questions in global security today. Who is going to be the next person in charge of North Korea's nuclear arsenal? For months, everyone has been speculating, and now the evidence is starting to point in a direction that is, frankly, shocking and completely unprecedented.
Think about it. For more than 70 years, North Korea has been the world's only communist dynasty. Power has been handed down from father to son, starting with the nation's founder, Kim Il-sung, then to his son, Kim Jong Il, and now to the current leader, Kim Jong Un. All power, and I mean all of it, is tied to what they call the Paek-2 bloodline, a term that basically turns the family into living gods and justifies their total control.
So here's what we're going to break down in this explainer. We'll start with why this whole succession question is suddenly such a big deal. Then, we'll look at the incredible rise of the person who seems to be the chosen heir. We'll dig into the evidence that spy agencies are looking at, explore the 3 major hurdles she has to overcome, and finally, look ahead to a huge political event that could make her position official.
All right, so why the urgency? Why is everyone talking about this now? Kim Jong Un has a firm grip on power, no doubt about that. He's ruthless. But his own health is what's really forcing this issue into the spotlight.
I mean, the guy is only 42, he should have decades left to rule. But, and this is a big but, he's reportedly dealing with a whole list of health problems. Diabetes, high blood pressure, and he's estimated to weigh around 140 kilograms. Now, when you remember that both his father and his grandfather died from heart attacks, you start to see why setting up a clear line of succession has become a top priority.
For years, the world just assumed a son would be next in line, following tradition. But the regime has thrown a massive curveball. They've pushed Kim Jong Un's young daughter, Kim Ju-ae, right into the global spotlight as the heir apparent.
Just think, before late 2022, basically no one had even heard of her. Then, boom, her first appearance was, pretty fittingly, at the launch of a huge intercontinental ballistic missile. Since that moment, her public profile has just exploded. We've seen her at military parades, factory openings, even at a critical summit in Beijing with Xi Jinping. By early 2026, she'd already made over 50 public appearances. That's not random. That's a carefully planned political debut.
So, what's the actual proof that she's being trained for the top job? Well, South Korea's National Intelligence Service, the NIS, has been watching her every move, and the pattern they've identified is pretty telling.
The NIS is pointing to a few key things. First, she's constantly at military events, which ties her image directly to the nation's power. Her visit to the Kumsusan Palace mausoleum, that's the super sacred place where her grandfather and great-grandfather are buried, was a huge symbolic move. And get this, at official events, her rank is now just below her father's. Plus, state media has started using these very respectful titles, like respected, when they talk about her. There are even whispers she's starting to have a say in policy.
And this quote right here is really important. Listen to that change in wording from South Korea's spy agency, going from successor training to successor designated stage. That's not just a minor tweak in language. That suggests her role has become much more formal, much more official inside the regime. It's a huge deal.
This chart shows you the strategy in action, plain as day. Look at her early appearances. More than 63% were military-focused. That's about building up her credibility with the army. But then look at 2025 alone. Her schedule totally changed. Economic and livelihood events shot up to the same level as military ones. This isn't just about photo ops, it's a calculated move to show her as a well-rounded leader who cares about every part of the country.
Okay, so the case for her being the heir seems pretty strong, right? Well, not so fast. Her path to power is anything but guaranteed. She's up against 3 really formidable obstacles.
First up, and this is a big one, North Korea is an incredibly conservative, old-school, patriarchal society. They've only ever had male rulers, and while that Paek-2 bloodline is sacred, a lot of analysts are asking, is the country's powerful male-dominated elite really ready to salute a young woman as their supreme commander? It would be a massive break from tradition.
Then there's obstacle number 2, the mystery of the hidden older brother. Yep, you heard that right. According to multiple sources, Kim Jong Un actually does have an older son. So why is he never seen? The rumor, and it sounds like something out of a movie, is that it's all about propaganda. He's reportedly thin and doesn't have that strong, imposing look of his great-grandfather, Kim Il-sung, which apparently makes him unsuitable as a symbol of the regime.
But the most complicated and maybe the most dangerous challenge for Kim Ju-ae might not be tradition or a secret brother. It could come from the most powerful woman already inside the regime. We're talking about her aunt Kim Yo Jong. As Kim Jong Un's sister, she's already the #2 person in the country. She's powerful, she has her own base of support, and people who watch the regime describe her as ambitious and ruthless. It's pretty hard to imagine her just stepping aside for her young niece. In fact, a former South Korean spy chief warned that a fierce power struggle is highly likely. And in a regime that has a history of brutally getting rid of rivals, even family, that's a seriously chilling thought.
So with all these dynamics in play, the grooming, the obstacles, the family rivalry, this whole succession plan is about to get its first real public test at a huge political event.
This is the 9th Congress of the Workers' Party, expected in late February 2026. This isn't just some meeting. It is the single biggest event on their political calendar. It's where they set the strategy for the next 5 years and, this is the crucial part, where they finalize the leadership structure. Most analysts are betting this is where Kim Jong Un will try to make his daughter's status official.
So, intelligence agencies around the world will have a checklist. Here's what they'll be watching for. 1. Will she even be there? And if she is, where does she stand in the lineup? 2. Will they finally use her real name, Kim Ju-ae, and give her an official title? 3. Could she get a major job, like first secretary of the party, which is the #2 post? And 4. Will they actually change party rules that say you have to be at least 18 to hold a top job?
So it all boils down to this. Are we watching a carefully planned, smooth handover of power that will keep the Kim dynasty going for another generation? Or are we seeing the first moves in a brutal, violent family feud for control of a country with nuclear weapons? The world is watching, and the answers could start coming very, very soon.
World Talk Brief. News explained without the noise. Subscribe to World Talk Brief for more clear, thoughtful explanations.